10 years older than you.
I mean,
but she's a 10.
Yeah, but she's a 10.
Okay.
She's still a 10.
Okay.
It might not be my 10.
All right, Jared, now you're changing the rules. Hey guys, welcome back to the Firsties podcast. I'm your host, Mila. It's always so weird doing this intro when the guest is in the room. If you hear that, we have Jared here. Say hey, Jared, to the audience.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm so excited to have you. Now, you guys can obviously tell that we are not in a regular environment. We're actually in Miami, Florida, which is your home city.
Yeah, my home now, my adopted home.
Yeah. We'll get into your background and everything like that. But before we get into what we need to get into, I feel like some people will probably recognize you. But before we get into why they recognize you, I came on TikTok and randomly your live came up on my, what is it, FYP, right?
Yeah. For you page.
Yep. And you were talking about your kind of being the first in your family to do social media and stuff like that. Like I remember the TikTok because I sent it to my team. I was like, watch this and see if he's a great guest for the show. And that's kind of on brand with Firsties. So can you tell me a little bit of your first gen experience? You're first generation citizen, correct?
Yeah, so I'm the firstborn of my entire family in the United States. So, I mean, my mom is from Paris. She's born there, but she's firstborn there. So she's the first generation in France.
Yeah.
My dad was the firstborn in London. So he was first generation in England. And everyone else is from, like, they're one of 9 and one of 7. And all their siblings before them, their parents before them were all born in North Africa and South Africa.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So can you just go down the list?
Yeah. So I'm only child. I'm one, first generation in America. Mm-hmm. And then my parents are the youngest of their 9 and 7 siblings, and all of them before them were born in Africa. So they were born in Algeria and South Africa. So
okay, I'm trying to see the pie, and it's just like a lot going on.
Yeah.
Okay, so and you were born in the West Coast, correct?
I was born in Los Angeles, Venice, Santa Monica. That's
okay, and then how long were you there until you? Yeah, if you could tell me the story of that. Yeah,
I mean, I grew up in Venice, Santa Monica, like the west side of LA for the most part. Mar Vista, for those of you that do know it. Yeah, that's where I grew up most of my life. I was in California until about a year and some change ago. I didn't move to Miami until June of 2023.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Other than that, I've been in California most of my whole life, really. Specifically Southern California, yeah.
Okay, so then West Coast, high school, middle school, those are kind of like our formative years, some rough years.
Yeah.
What was that upbringing like? Also, you said you're an only child. I don't know that. I come from a very big family.
Yeah.
So, like, what was that like? And
I think my mom being one of 9 and my dad being one of 7.
Right.
They were just like, yeah, we've had enough. So that's why they were like, one will do. So, I mean, growing up an only child, I think, was a very privileged, experience in the sense that, like, I got all the love and attention from my parents. Nice. Yeah. So, when it comes to all that, I was the sole focus of my parents, and, I still am. So
that's beautiful.
I am very, like, privileged in that, I guess I never really had to share with anyone when it came to the home.
It's so funny.
But that doesn't mean that I didn't grow up like from parents that grew up with multiple siblings and, households where they all had to, thug it out, for lack of a better word, So, like, they raised me to be very generous, and I feel like I always treat, like, my friends like my family. So, I don't think I fall in the typical or stereotypical, only child syndrome.
Only child energy.
Like, that kind of thing. Like, I really have, I feel like, a tight-knit group of friends, even though the group of friends might be a lot smaller than it used to be. But I was always, like, raised to be independent, outgoing. Like, I was also home alone a lot. My parents were either traveling, working, all that kind of stuff. So they raised me to be independent, take care of myself, cook, clean, all that kind of things. I had to be able to be on my own. And I think that upbringing has given me the confidence to take on a lot of things on my own and kind of forge my own path in a lot of ways and, take the leap, move across the country without knowing anybody here. So
yeah, can't relate. My brother did that. I was like, shout out to you. He's in Denver. So shout out to you, Josie. Love you. So is that feeling familiar to you? And do you enjoy that feeling? Like, do you prefer to be alone? Like, do you recharge alone?
I feel like
all you know?
I like being alone a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I do enjoy being in social situations. Like, I'm a very outgoing person, especially with the right kind of people.
Yeah.
But I do find a lot of peace by myself, and I do find that I enjoy my own company a lot more than I like a lot of other people's company from time to time. So it's just like
that's a bar.
I have taken a lot of time to be on like a self like mastery introspective like journey, and I feel like I'm still doing that every day. There's a lot more that I need to uncover or get to know about myself.
Mm-hmm.
Internal battles that I'm still waging, I guess, to some degree.
Yeah.
But, I don't think being an only child has affected me in any sort of detriment. So I'm happy for my experience.
Well, shout out to your parents.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Shout out to
that
parents.
That is awesome. Yeah, because that's not the case with everyone. Absolutely not. Yeah. And it sounds like since you were only child as well, that you were able to practice like your imagination as well.
Yeah,
and creativity, because like you're bored, and a lot of great things come from boredom.
Yeah, I feel like
a lot of kids now need to start being bored. Like, you know what I mean? Like
100%.
Yeah.
You won't catch me having no iPad kids, Yeah. I'm serious.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I think it's terrible for society. So
yeah.
But no, my parents are both creatives too. My mom, she's a hairstylist, and my dad works in shipping and logistics, which is not a creative industry, so to speak, but he always had creative talents too. Like they both could draw or paint, and I think that's probably something that brought them together. And so they always nurtured my creativity and allowed space for that. Like I was always building Legos as a kid, drawing, painting, taking drawing classes, pottery classes. Like they fully gave me like everything I needed to flush out any kind of creative juices, I guess. So
yeah, that's amazing. That doesn't always happen for sure. Okay, so then when did you also mentioned like your friends are like a very important part of your life? We talk about that a lot in this podcast of like sometimes the first gen experience, you don't get the love that you need at home because your parents are immigrant parents and they're trying to figure out life, and you're a latchkey kid. You don't have a babysitter, so you have to like figure life out for yourself. Mm-hmm. And so your friends become your chosen family, right? And that sounds like that's kind of what you did as well. It sounds like that's kind of like an important priority in your life, your chosen family, and you moved across country with a friend of yours, right?
Yeah, I did. So actually, it was 3 of us that moved together. We all knew each other from freshman year. We all went to University of Arizona for freshman year. We all happened to live on the same floor. One of them happened to be my roommate in freshman year.
Oh, wow.
Like we were in a triple. We've kept in touch, and he's one of my best friends to this day. So, yeah, having a tight-knit group of people around me has always been important. I probably couldn't have done it alone. I mean, maybe I'm cutting myself a little bit short there, but I just feel like having someone to have that's your comfort in some kind of way. Someone else to like deal with the struggles of like doing like, damn, like, am I really doing the right thing?
You're really out here. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I'm very appreciative of having him around, and being able to have other people to explore and fail, together, I guess, and so to speak, or to at least find some common ground with someone that's going through the same thing.
Yeah.
Right at home. So.
Yeah, or just like laugh about it with someone. Like, damn, we really fucked that up.
Yeah, for real.
You know what I mean? Because that's really, because it can be scary. It can be scary for sure. I also want to talk about how you, with kind of like, did you ever feel like an other growing up?
Oh, totally.
Okay. And how did that present itself in your person?
I guess I don't know. Probably still I'm working.
I almost feel like this is therapy. But
yeah, like I'm probably like still working that out.
You could lay down if you want.
Today. Yeah, get your notebook out.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, I don't know. I think for me, I come from, like I said, a very, very diverse background. And as rich as, as rich and diverse my background and my heritage is, I don't know how much I really identified with any of it for the most part. In the sense that, like, my parents were first generation in their country.
Yeah.
And then they were others in their country, right? They were immigrants in their country. So there was a lot of assimilation and a lot of, like, probably denial or, pushing away of, certain, traditions and things that they had within their heritage that they had to, like, not show the world, or probably that they felt shame for, growing up in the 60s and 70s in Europe as immigrant families from Africa. Not the best time or the best place. And then on top of that, I'm one even further degree removed from all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm living in, like, the West Coast, Los Angeles, from my parents who, like, left. They're the ones who left their families. Like, they're the ones who, like, made the big jump and left. Like a lot of my family on my mom's side,
mm-hmm.
they're still in France, and, like, they still follow all the same traditions. Like, my mom was the, black sheep of her family.
Interesting.
And then my dad was always, like, a jet setter, like, always on the move, like, that kind of thing. And then I'm the firstborn in a completely different country, growing up with a completely different culture. And, like, now I'm assimilating to, the environment that I have around me, as well as the new life that my parents are trying to foster in me, because they are obviously taking all the things that they wish they had as kids and growing up, and trying to put that and instill that into me. So a lot of that is counter to what they grew up with. And so I think for me, I've always had a, struggle with identity when it comes to, like, my heritage in that kind of sense, but also a deep sense of pride in the fact that I come from such a worldly and diverse background. And I've had the, how do I say this? I guess I've been blessed to be able to travel,
mm-hmm.
the privilege to be able to travel and see a lot of parts of the world and have family in different parts of the world. That's given me a larger worldview to be appreciative of all kinds of people. But I mean, I guess when you say, like, how has it affected me? Like when I was younger, a lot of, like, as diverse as LA is, like, very diverse, you're still a minority. And it was still, like, a predominantly white, neighborhoods and things like that, or very liberal neighborhoods as well. And, like, I have no shame in my upbringing or whatsoever, but there's probably still stuff that I don't know. Like, I was probably, like, leaning towards other people and, like, assimilating to them in certain ways that, that's just what life is. You kind of want to fit in that kind of
survival,
kind of aspect. So, I mean, there's only one moment where I think I've really been, like, I guess, bullied for my background. Sorry.
You're right.
Where, like, I lost my ID card, my student ID.
How old were you?
I think I was like 15 or like 14, something like that. I was in high school. I was like 10th or 11th grade. I think 11th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it wasn't like a direct to my face kind of thing, but what happened was I lost my ID, and then my student counselor or whatever, she calls me up and says, "Hey, I found your ID. Can you come pick it up?"
Yeah.
So I pick up the ID, and someone has drawn all over my face, like, a massive beard, a turban, and written, like, terrorist across my ID card. And I was like, all right, whatever. So I just kind of tossed it away. I didn't really give it much, like, power. I was like, all right, like, this is stupid. But still, like, the fact that someone would do that is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And, like, that's just, like, the world that we live in. And so just like, it's less so that it was like I couldn't see anyone who would have done it.
Yeah.
But, like, it's out there.
It's out there.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I'm sorry you went through that.
It is what it is. It made for good source material on a
look
college acceptance
and
essay.
Look at you now. There you go. Ease your pain, yeah?
Yeah, exactly.
I cried in one of my scholarship interviews. I was like, you're going to give me this money.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. No, that's the reality of it. I can definitely relate. The strange thing also is like, what am I going to come home and tell my parents who are working their ass off that this is happening? No, I just got to eat it and move on. Like, that's the family I come from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we don't have time for feelings, Mila. We got to you got to get on and roll. We're working our asses off. And I'm one of 3 and I'm the baby as well. So I was just like, I think birth order has a lot to do with our personality. Even though you're an only child, either first and only, that has a lot to do with your making as a person. 100%. I'm the baby. So I was just the person who's supposed to like make everyone laugh and do the dance. And you know what I mean? So if people are not clapping, then that's where my self-identity comes from, which I'm working through therapy with it. Shout out Dr. Ricks. And that can be very, very tough for sure. Because I think in our cultures, like feelings and talking about them and like mental health is just not something that's like not only celebrated, but like accepted. It's like, you know, I really came from the mind frame of like, shut up and work. Like that's all you're supposed to do. And it's put me in some dangerous situations before of like working with some narcissists or like being like, Mila, that's actually not appropriate. Your boss should not talk to you that way. I'm just like, oh, I just thought like, I'm just doing my job and going home. So sorry, I went on a tangent, but I could definitely relate for sure.
No, it's true. I think there's definitely moments where wherever like your programming is at, you're just like, all right, like I just need to push past this. And sometimes there's those things that like, wait, that's actually not okay. Like,
yeah,
we shouldn't, you know, maybe settle this or stop it or I don't know, whatever, depending on the situation, you got to remedy is like, all right, we got to fix something here.
Yeah. And we talk about it off camera too, but like these 20s is the most crazy, most emotional. Like I'm so ready to get to my 30s because I'm just like, I'm done with the self-discovery. I got it. Yeah. Let's just, because it's just so much unpacking and I've tried so hard to forget certain things that happened in my childhood or just like on the playground or something. It could be as little as like not getting picked for like the game or whatever. It could be as little as that or someone being a hate crime towards you, which is ridiculous. You know what I mean? There's like a spectrum. So yeah, these 20 somethings, man, they're a mother for sure.
Yeah, no, 20s is not easy. Definitely not. Like you're so like when you're younger, you're so ready to like, oh, I want to get out of here and do this and be my own person. And then you're like, oh shit, being your own person is really hard.
It's also very expensive.
Yes. Oh man.
Emotionally expensive, financially expensive, spiritually expensive. All of it. And I do agree with you, Jared, that like even though I'm obsessed with people taking their pain and their trauma and turning it into like a superpower. Like, although maybe you were alone at times or lonely, you became creative and self-sufficient and independent and like probably a self-love journey as well. Cause you're like, I can trust myself. Like on the other end, I was the baby of a family of 3. And then my mom is one of 13. My dad is one of 9. So I come from a big family as well. Yeah. I had a real issue with like just making decisions for myself because at a certain age, everything was decided for me for the most part. Like you're going to go to college, you're going to get that scholarship, you're going to be an athlete, all this stuff. And because everybody was clapping around me, I was happy to do it until at one point I was just like miserable. I had everything I wanted, but I was just miserable. And then actually like this podcast and going back to school and stuff was kind of like the start of my journey of like, I've always been a creative, but growing up, I come from like doctors and I'm Ethiopian, so I'm African, just like you'd understand. Yeah. So it's all medical professionals, like literally everyone. I'm not joking. My brother's the wild card. He's a mechanical engineer. Woo! Oh, crazy. Yeah. So he's the rebel, right? So me being like, hey, I want to be creative. But then growing up, it's like, yeah, I did all the plays and stuff like that. And it's like, no shit, I wanted to do this type of stuff, but I just didn't think it was cool or like I was going to make money from it because you guys made it seem like only doctors and nurses.
And there wasn't no belief behind it.
No, I didn't see it at all. Like literally at all. That's why I think representation is very, very important. People like you and me as well in the industry. But I am obsessed with kind of like, I agree with you that taking whatever you dealt with, although do I agree with how I got these traits? No, but I have them. So I might as well use them.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. So now let's get into like your social media and like fashion and all that stuff. Okay. Clearly he's the most fashionable guest that we've had on the show already. So congrats.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'll take it.
Yeah. So first of all, how'd you get into social media? How'd you get into fashion? All that.
All right. Well, I mean, it starts back. I guess being in and around cameras has like been a part of my life like since I was younger. Like I know I did a brief stint as like a child, like doing like child like modeling kind of things, or like
Really?
child like.
Did you seek that out, or your parents put you on, or?
I have no clue.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
But like I did like I know I was like in like doing like little commercial things or something like that. And then I know like through conversation with my mother that like I kind of didn't really enjoy it that much, so they like pulled me out. And then I got super into photography, and like I think photography was like a big thing for me. I've always had an eye for, you know, creating dope images or that kind of thing, like framing, composition, all that kind of stuff. Like I think I've just always had a natural aptitude for it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of got back in front of the camera again, like did some modeling with LA Models, was signed there for a little bit. But then it was all these auditions and castings and things that were taking me away from like school, and like it was just so far and such a hassle, and like we weren't seeing as much returns on it as like it wasn't like necessarily worth it. So again I pulled out. But like the photography thing kind of still remained, and I was always enjoyed that. I enjoyed film. I enjoyed movies a lot growing up. So like that whole kind of creative aspect, especially when it comes to visually, you know, depicting something, has always been a part of my life. So when I was in photography, I always knew how to keep like an aesthetic Instagram feed, and like was like paying attention to that. I was like very into like Photoshop, Illustrator, editing, you know, and I was like getting paid to do photography. I was doing concert photography. You know, I did Tom Misch at the Palladium. I've done like Kyle Dion. I've done a lot of artists and stuff like that. So like the visionary aspect has always been a part of that. The fashion journey, I think, took a lot longer.
Okay.
I think like I didn't really know what I was doing when it comes to fashion a lot of time when I was growing up, even through like high school. I just thought I did. So
That's
I think,
all that matters.
Yeah. So,
That's
you know,
all that matters.
I really thought I was doing something. I think like my best, you know, my best piece of clothing, like going through high school, was like the Adidas like track pants with the three stripes like down the side.
Yeah.
I was like, I was really putting some shit on.
You were killing it.
And then it wasn't until I got to college that I started getting more into like fashion and really, you know, putting shit on. Like once I started making actual money and like had a job that I can spend my discretionary income in, and like make some explorative mistakes and test the waters with different kinds of fashion and things. And so that's when I kind of started to develop my style, probably like 2018, 19, 2020, 21, that kind of thing. And then leading up to the point where ultimately I get the opportunity to be on Love Island USA. And by that time, I feel like I had already found a decent like idea of like what my fashion was like.
Oh, that's helpful. That's nice.
And then so once I got onto it, I was able to like kind of put it on full display. And then afterwards, again, I had a lot more freedom. I had more money, and I could like dive deeper into that. And obviously, like going on a reality show gives you, or like serves as a catalyst for social media. And ultimately, when I got off the show, I had no idea what the hell I was doing. Like I like was thrust into the creator influencer world as a normie. Like I didn't know what to create.
That's how you see yourself.
You know, like I didn't have an impact. I didn't know what my like message was to anybody. I didn't have a vision.
Your niche,
for my, you know, content creator journey. And like I think every day I'm still kind of like figuring that out and developing what that is. But ultimately my goal is just to be myself and like do it to the fullest. Like I know I still have like a very entrepreneurial mind, and I feel like I have a lot to say and a lot of stuff to say that, you know, people can use and you know, hopefully help people in a lot of ways, inspire people in a lot of ways, whether that be through fashion or through lifestyle, you know, inspiring people to travel, to go see the world, try new things, you know, embrace like the beginner's mindset, be willing to, you know,
I like that.
Just be bad at things for a little bit and explore yourself, take time to be alone, journal, get spiritual if you have to. Like I just think like self-mastery is mostly the journey that I'm on right now. And like, you know, doing the best I can to be the best version of myself. And and exploring all the ways that and tools, books, you know, lifestyles, regimens, routines that help me get to that point. So just like I'm on that constant journey of refining myself and like trying to, you know, chisel away at the marble of finding the perfect version of who I am, like whatever perfection really is. But like, you know, I'm running a race without a finish line, but that's kind of where I'm at this point in time.
Why are you, especially with your social media too, because you mentioned it, it is a common thread in a lot of your social media with the self-mastery, and like, it seems like you're very passionate about other people finding their purpose and passion. Like, where do you think that stems from? Whether it's like you growing up and not feeling that, or the way you feel when other people find their...
I'm not sure. I mean, maybe... I think most...
Because you know how that's like very specific.
Yeah. 100.
And a lot of people, just to be frank, don't give a shit of how other people... You know what I mean? Like...
No, it's true.
So that's very special is what I'm saying.
I just like... Well, thank you. Yeah. I just feel like there's so much life to live. Like
You're about to get deep. Okay.
You know, there's so much to experience. Yeah. Like there's more than your hometown. There's more than just your home state. There's more than just your home country. You know, there's a ton of world to see. There's a ton of cultures. There's a ton of traditions and experiences, you know, walks of life, wildlife to you know, experience. And I think like you're on this earth for such a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And I think you would just be doing yourself a disservice in this life. Like you've won the lottery just to even be here and just to be on this earth experiencing life right now. Like I don't think people express the gratitude that is, you know, I guess worthy of the fact that you're here on this earth for this very moment, like right now. Like people don't understand that like the chances of you being born were already like miles off, like more that like harder to win the actual lottery on earth. You are here on earth, you know? And like, I just think I've been, like I said, I've been blessed to travel. I've been blessed with a diverse background and family and my parents who have traveled the world and like have instilled that in me, that like, unfortunately, like it costs a lot of money to do that too. Yep. And, you know, you have to have privilege to be able to go out and see a lot of these things. So I'm very grateful for my upbringing in that as well. And, you know, when you get outside of your home area, you get outside of your comfort zone, you see that there's other walks of life. There's people who are just as smart as you. There's people that you're probably smarter than who are doing more with their lives and the things that they have, you know, got going on. And not to say or belittle anyone that, you know, wants to live a very, you know, docile, like, you know, whatever, your home, be your homebody in your hometown and be a part of your home community, like do your whole thing. But like, I just want to open the minds of people to say like, there's a lot more out there to see. And like, whatever your passion is, I hope that you find it. Like whatever like drives you, makes you feel joy, whatever you would do on this earth if you weren't getting paid to do it, what would you be doing on a daily basis? Like what kind of things bring you the joy and the fulfillment, regardless of, you know, society's conventions and money and bills and things that you have to pay, right? Yeah. Like if those things didn't exist, like if you were just living here, what is the stuff that really makes you tick? And like, I know for me, like I really enjoy philosophy. I really enjoy the way that people think. I really enjoy, you know, creativity, putting together like projects with people, creative projects. I love fashion, self-expression, art, music, things of any kind, stuff that bring people together, food, like that kind of stuff. Like that's why I feel like, again, there's so much out there to see. And if I can inspire someone to just, you know, take a peek at the other side and dip their toes in the water, or like try something new and dig deep and follow their heart, their intuition, that's I think an amazing thing. Like I just feel like if you're not writing your own story, the world will write it for you, or whatever, you know, society will write it for you. And like, I know that personally for me, I feel so passionately about the fact that I'm going to write my own story, and I refuse to live a life other than the one that I choose for myself, that I feel like I'm so passionate about it to the degree, like I have this fire burning, like, no, like you can do it too. Like, you can literally do anything you want to do in this world. Like, everyone else grew up, you know, crawling, shitting their pants in a diaper, you know, like, didn't know how to eat. Like, we all grew up, like, even though some of us had, like, maybe silver spoon or better situations, and like, you don't get to choose the environment in which you were born in.
Yeah.
But you're still a human being, and human beings are capable of so many things. And it's only impossible if you say it's impossible. Because, like, it's like you can do whatever you want to do. Like, at some point, none of this stuff that's in this room, this mic, the cameras, like, whatever this stuff was, just didn't even exist in the realm of someone's imagination.
Right.
At some point, it wasn't even a concept. And then eventually someone was like, what if we can create something that can amplify someone's voice? Or what if we can create something that can capture a moment of time? Like, these were all just, like, something that came into someone's brain, and then they're like, all right, let me act upon it and do it. And that's with anything. The buildings that we live in, the couches that we sit on, and that you can do that with anything in your life. And, like, I feel like I just feel so passionate about the fact that if you have something, it is almost like your duty. You have to bring it out. Like, you have to materialize that fact.
Amen to that. One of my favorite films is Just Mercy, and in there, just from you talking, because what you're saying is amazing, but it's like two things are happening. You have to have, like, the quote was something along the lines of, like, what he learned, the lawyer in the film. If you've seen it, have you seen it?
It's the one with Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah,
I may have seen it.
It's one of my all-time favorite films.
Yeah.
I sob every single time. He says what he learned from the journey of the character was you not only need ideas in your mind, you need conviction in your heart. And those two things together is what yields movement in the right direction or an idea. Like, I could be passionate about sound or whatever, but if I also don't have the idea for these mics, it would never happen. So I completely agree with you. Yeah, I just think one of the hurdles a lot of people do is they live the life that their parents told them to live. And that's coming from me. Like, I'm on the other side of it. But I had to hit rock bottom to get there and be like, oh, like, it was this distinct moment of someone passed away, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to die soon. I'm going to die in 60, 70 years if I'm lucky. So I should probably live a life that I'm proud of. So you mentioned Love Island. Okay, and we talked off camera how I'm like, I don't want this to be like a Love Island because this happened 2 years ago. But just for context for the audience, you were on Love Island season 4 USA. Yeah. This was 2 years ago, right? So first of all, they reach out to you? You reach out to them?
They just DM'd me on Instagram. I got like a DM from a casting director or an assistant casting director, and like, I still have it. You can still look at it if you want. And
I think you mentioned in an interview that you thought it was fake or something.
Oh, 100%. Like, I thought it was a scam.
Scam.
Yeah, I thought it was a scam. Like, like tons of things going on Instagram. People would DM you like asking for your information, sign up for this application, da 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 da. But, you know, just like out of pure curiosity, because that's just who I am, like, I'll entertain it for a little bit and like see where it goes. And then, like, if it actually, you know, starts to bear a little bit of fruit, I'm like, okay, well, we'll see. Why not? Like, we'll give it a chance. So that whole process lasted like 6 months, I think, before I got word that I was like, okay, like, you're actually going to be on the show.
So what can you just really quickly, because from the recent season that came out, like, clearly it's been going crazy, but like, what do you recall, or like, if you could do like word association right now and give me 3 words of your experience or how you identify with Love Island season 4 USA, which you were bombshell, right?
Yeah, I was a bombshell.
Yeah. Again, talking about disruption, just coming in and effing ish.
That's my life bombshell. I guess I would say like life-changing, eye-opening, and fun.
Okay. Yeah. Those are good ones. That's a good 3.
Yeah.
That's a good trio. I love that. So life-changing. How has your life changed for other than from the obvious like exposure and stuff like that? I'm if you want to know more about his journey or whatever, there's a lot of other interviews and stuff like that, which unless you want to talk about it, we can.
It doesn't matter.
I just don't want it to be like a broken record.
Yeah, of course.
I want to get more into the interesting like growth that you had from Love Island. Even if there isn't, you could be like, no, I actually did not learn anything from going on a reality show. But
I would say that actually the most transformative time was the 5 weeks I spent by myself in a room before actually getting into the villa.
For what, like quarantine purposes? Right?
Yeah, so
Or,
there was like
okay.
a quarantine, and then also like as a bombshell, like I'm waiting to go in. Like I
Oh,
wasn't.
that's what it is. Oh.
Yeah, so I mean, there was an initial like 2 week quarantine, and there was like 3 weeks on top of that before I actually went into the villa. And mind you, you're in a room, a suite, and you're in there for 23 to 22 hours a day. Like you don't get to leave the room other than to like get or like to go to the gym or spend some time by the pool. Otherwise, like the food is delivered to your door with a knock at the same time every single day. And the only people that you talk to are the other talent producers. Like if you just want to like chat and like talk to somebody, there's no contact from the outside world. If you want to entertain yourself, it's puzzles, drawings, HBO, Netflix, like whatever streaming services you have, and like whatever you have at your disposal. So it's just like, but no contact or anything from the outside world, no live TV, nothing. So I think that was definitely the most transformative time because it was like, I like to describe it as like Scandinavian prison because it's like kind of like jail, but like
I was just going to describe it
they
as
like take care of you.
the most bougie prison.
Yeah, exactly. So that was like, almost there's like a solitary, confinement kind of aspect, with, a little bit of rainbows and unicorns kind of thing, like very nice solitary kind of confinement, like whatever. So, but, so that was definitely the most transformative time because I had to spend so much time by myself and like with my own thoughts. And I feel like it was almost like therapeutic in a sense, like maybe not the way that I wanted it to be always, but like there was definitely moments where I was like in tears, like whether it was like crying because I missed like my family or just because I was like gaining a deeper appreciation for the people I had around me. But like when you don't have all the stimulus and distraction of the things of the outside world and you have a lot more stillness, there's a lot of stuff that comes to the surface in your psyche. So that was definitely the biggest thing. Another thing was like I said about gaining a deeper appreciation for my parents. Like I missed my dad's 60th birthday in that room. And I would have been on a trip to London with him where he's from, that we've been planning for ages. But like the opportunity came up and I asked for his like blessing and like I was like, all right, might as well, take it. And then so I missed that milestone birthday to take on, Love Island. And so I also like started to gain a lot more appreciation for the people I did have in my life while I was there. So yeah, that time was probably the most transformative. Then I got on there. That was just like almost like a fever dream. Like at this point, like it got like so it went by like so quickly. So much like stuff is out of your control. Like a social like human experiment.
It is. Yeah.
You don't know what time you're going to bed. The only sense of time you have is the sun and like how long it's up.
I'm tapping out.
Yeah, like they tell you when lunch is, like the food is good, the people are nice, and they do take care of you. But it's everything in there is happening in a vacuum. Like it's very like Truman Show-esque, like in a way. Other than like the fact that like the characters they're not like in on it on a story about you. Like everyone's involved, and the Truman Show is happening on the producer's side.
Yeah.
They're like the ones like orchestrating like things. But I had a really good time. I met some cool people, and like I think like it was a very, very unique experience. I definitely went in there naively thinking that I was like actually gonna find love. Like I hadn't really had much of a love experience in my life.
So that was the only thing that was insane to me, is that you went on a show, right?
Yeah.
Yet you've never had a girlfriend.
No.
Ever, which is so rare. So shout out to you, cause same. But that didn't like terrify you or anything like that. I would think it's like, hey, I want to go hiking, and then it's like, hey, let's go to the Grand Canyon. Like what? Like.
Yeah, no, I just like figured, why not? Like this would be a time for me to like really give it a shot, in a sense that like there's no other thing, there's no distractions, there's nothing out there that's getting in the way of me getting to know somebody, which is not entirely true because you know, there's other people there getting in the way.
Yeah.
And there's other like stories and narratives that, you know, they might be nudging to, you know, get in the way of certain things as well. So there was a lot of stuff to actually contend with while you're there. Of course, it is in the end also a contest.
You forget that sometimes.
Yeah, you do.
I mean, as an audience,
because like you're in there, like you're making friends. Like these are real people too.
Yeah.
So, but then for a while, like you get used to it and conditioned, and that's your life, and like you're fully within it, and you don't realize like it feels like months pass by in it when it's really only weeks.
Yeah, like they say, like a day in there is like a week or a month.
Yeah,
like.
exactly. So I gave it a shot. You know, I left with someone. It didn't really work out outside of the show.
But didn't you find love even temporarily?
Yeah, briefly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
so. There you go.
And then, yeah, I mean, it was just fun. Like, it's just a different, unique, like, experience. And then, you know, afterwards, obviously being on TV, getting a bit of a platform and a following, like, definitely opened doors, you know, for me that probably wouldn't have opened otherwise.
So no regrets, for sure, when it comes to Love Island.
No regrets. Nah. I mean, like, I enjoyed my time. I think, like, I wasn't, like, I didn't make, like, the biggest impact, but I didn't make no impact at all. I think I was just, like, there for the other people. Like, when it came to, like, giving people advice or being that shoulder for other people to lean on, like, that's the kind of person I was. And, you know, and I led with, like, very genuine, like, intentions. And, like, you just start to have fun with it, you know. So that's kind of what it was.
It's nice that you could leave being proud of yourself and how you behaved and how you
I just think
yourself,
like I knew like I was just being me the whole time. Like I wasn't putting on some sort of character or anything like that. So like, you know, and I think I came back a different person than like who I was. And like even my mom and my best friend had like said that as well.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Reinforcement or just like positive feedback because they know you. So
yeah,
it's
exactly.
like that's kind of nice. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because I saw on the Reddit some of the Reddit threads, which is just so funny to read, were saying like you were kind of like the dad of the group or just like always giving like sound advice and stuff like that. And I saw clips of you doing that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I haven't even read those or seen.
Yeah, I would imagine you wouldn't because you have a life, but but no, that's awesome. That's awesome because not everyone has that experience. I'm like, wow, that person behaved that way on, which again, they're a human being. They're having that experience, but like, man, that's like documented forever. Interesting. So then I just quickly want to know, like, what was your experience like directly after Love Island? Like, were you on a high and then it became silent and that was weird for you? Was it like
I mean,
a
I was
media craze?
Definitely riding a high, like after coming back from the show. Like, I mean, first of all, I came back immediately off the train. My friends picked me up. The show, like the episode of me getting eliminated hadn't aired yet.
Okay.
So my friends pick me up. First thing we get ramen because like I'm obsessed with like
Love it.
Sushi, ramen, Asian food, Japanese food specifically. Amazing. So that's like our comfort food together. We'd always get ramen. We go to Tatsu Ramen in Melrose, and the server comes up to me. She's like, "Oh my God, you just ruined the show for me.
No.
Like you just ruined tonight's episode. You spoiled it for me. Like you got eliminated." I was like, "Yeah." That's what it is. Like, I guess, like.
Were you back on your phone though, like social media?
Yeah, I was back on my phone, and like, then like it was pretty surreal to see like the following like just go up and up and up and up and up. It's like I think like also what everyone experiences like on the show is like after you're gone from the show, like a lot more people follow you. So it's kind of like, you know, you're like famous after you're dead kind of thing, like the posthumous fame, like in a sense, like that like once you're off it, like then people are like a lot more interested. But you know, I was doing podcasts. I had a girlfriend from the show at the time. And then that was like one thing we were like managing was like tough. And then, you know, going to all these events and doing podcasts and you know, a little bit of buzz here and there. I mean, in LA, like you're on reality TV, like or like Love Island at the time was not as big as it is now. Like now it's like a freaking phenomenon. #1 show in the world in the United States at the moment. But like my show was like the guinea pig season. Like we were the first season on Peacock. So we didn't have a lot of the.
You guys crawled so season 6 go walk.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So there was that, and then, you know, I made a lot of great friends. I think from it, and like met people that I wouldn't have met otherwise, and then it's given me you know, I always say this, like, if you're not using social media to some degree, you're falling behind, because I feel like this is like a digital like gold rush. Like, you have the ability to reach, you know, the world.
Yeah.
And like, there is a degree of social credibility and social currency that comes with having a platform. And I think like it's always gonna serve you in some kind of way. Like, I think it's given me, you know, someone sees me, they have my name, they shake my hand, and then they see my social media, and then they're like, oh, let me give this guy just a little bit more respect, kind of thing.
That's so true. That's unfortunate that that's the process, but that's the world that we live in.
It's true.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to deny it. Like, I'm like, there's probably a lot of opportunities or things that I wouldn't, or parties or places or people that I wouldn't have been involved with, met, or gone to had I not had that Love Highland like experience.
At least you, the thing that I think probably that makes it less concerning for me is that you're aware of that. Is that there's a part of you that people are interested in, and then there's part that some people might not be interested in, that you have to be like, okay with that.
Yeah, totally.
And it probably comes from being an only kid and figuring out that like you loved yourself and entertained yourself at one point. So like, props to you.
Yeah, and I mean, that's probably why I'm so interested in like self-mastery and all that kind of stuff too, because like, you know, being the only part of my family that's in the United States, and my parents are separated, live in completely two different sides of the country now, and I live in a different state. So my core family all lives in different parts of the world, and then when my parents gone, it's just me. So it's just like I gotta be able to like I gotta be able to be there for myself and like, you know, pull myself up from my bootstraps and like do my own thing and be there for myself when I need to be, that kind of thing. And that's also probably why my friends are my chosen family and why I value them so much, because like that's all I got. And like the rest of my family, they live in different countries or I speak French too, and they speak French, but like, you know, for me to get physically connected with them, like I got to travel across the whole ocean. And like same with my family in Australia or in England, like that's not an easy task. Probably because of all the rapping.
Yeah, he yaps. I'm like, do you want to be a co-host? No, this is good. I was telling him off camera, you're the dream guest because you can yap. And I essentially want to get paid for yapping. That's essentially why I did the podcast.
Yeah, honestly.
Maybe help some people here and there, but for the most part, just okay, so let's play a game of She's a 10 But. Okay. So I tried my best to do ones that kind of relate to you and things that you would actually have. Because if it's all 10, it's like boring. I want to get to know you a little more. Okay. She's a 10, but she's always late.
Oof. Nah.
Give me a number.
That don't run. I'm going to say
like always late.
Like 5, 4.
Whoa. Okay. So are you always Are you always on time? Are you a type A in that way?
Like I may not be like always on time, but like I try like if I just feel like I have a respect for other people's time. So like if I show up late, I'm not gonna show up more than 5-10 minutes late. It's like I know that like people's time is important, and I know my time is important. And I'm not trying to waste anybody else's time.
Yeah.
So like if you are always showing up late, like you just have a lack of respect or a lack of empathy for other people.
That's how I feel. That's how I know I'm getting older, because now it's like can't or be late on me twice, because things happen. Life happens, kid gets sick, traffic, all that stuff. But like 30 minutes, 45 minutes late, yeah, babe, we're just not compatible in that way. Friends, family, it's just, we're not compatible. It's okay. Nah. It's okay, babes.
Like no
hard feelings. But when I was younger, I was like, oh yeah, no worries. But it's because I was in college, and the time is money, money is time. We don't know, you know what I mean? So I completely
I got shit agree. To do. I got places to go, people to see, like that kind of thing. Like if you're gonna waste my time, I could have stayed home. You know,
I could have stayed my ass home. Yep.
Absolutely not.
Yep. Okay, she's a 10, but she's always talking with her mouth full.
Oh, nah. I literally...
I'm doing good, guys.
My biggest pet peeve, one of my biggest pet peeves on earth is smacking food.
Oh, like...
Nah, I can't do that. If you're like in your food or like you're talking with your mouth open, like... chew your food, keep your mouth closed. When you got something to say, then speak.
Got it.
But until then, that's again, like, that's low. That's like, nah, that's a ick. Like, that's a border. That's
it. We talk about icks a lot on this show. I have
like,
so many icks.
Yeah, I mean, I always say, like, I don't have like ick, like a turn off. That's a categorical no. Like, unless you're changing that, like, we are not.
You just won't.
No.
So, okay, gotcha. That's just a no for Jared. Okay.
Yeah.
She's a 10, but she's a bit flirty. Like, when you guys are just out, like, she's just kind of
like flirty with other people.
Yeah.
And like, it depends, like, what sense.
So the word I'm using is flirting. So she is flirting. It's not that she's, what is it? Like, just a kind person and, like, you know, like, ask someone, hey, do you want something to drink while she's going to the bar too? Like, that's just a decent person. No, I'm talking about she is flirting. She has a flirty personality with your friends, the bartender, with the DJ.
Nah, okay. I think when you said friends, that's the part that kind of triggered me the most, kind of thing. But I guess it should be with anyone, doesn't matter. But it's just because that, again, it comes down to a lack of respect. Like, in the sense, or maybe it's like my ego getting involved, but like, I'm a very confident person. I'm not really the jealous type. So it has nothing to do with me, like, being jealous. But you're showing that, like, this relationship obviously doesn't mean that much to you, because, like, you're giving people or leading other people on to the idea that, like, this is nothing. So therefore that creates like like, this guy's really not shit. Like, he's not holding you down. Like, the fact that you're flirting with me so much is like, he's a chump, like, that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
And so maybe that's an ego thing or a lack of respect thing or all of it all intertwined. But yeah, that can't run either. Okay. So I'm gonna say, like, 4.
Okay. Ooh, a lot of 4s and 5s.
Well, because it's like, obviously, like, I'm gonna be with a pretty, beautiful looking woman. Like, I have no doubt about that. And like, but like, you, like, in order for you to be above that, like, midway threshold, like, there's like levels to it. I guess. Like,
yeah, I get it. Okay, I get it. Okay, she's a 10, but she's not into fashion. Like, she doesn't get it.
Oh, that's fine, because I can change that.
Okay. So what is she then?
That's still a 10.
Okay, but what do you mean that you could change that? Like, let's just unpack that real quickly. I can
influence her fashion game. I can style her.
But what if she's like not as like geeked out about fashion as you are?
Well, she doesn't have to be geeked out about it.
Okay.
But like, I want to walk out with like somebody like
you guys, you want both of you guys.
Yeah, like, I would want me and my girl to like step out and be like, damn, look at that couple, like that kind of thing.
Got it.
Like, we're really on some shit. Well, I mean, because like, I'd hope that like the person I'm with is creative in some type of way, and self-expressive in some kind of way. So yeah, maybe not 10, because like, if she was a 10, she probably would have a pretty decent fashion game. So yeah, maybe let's go 8.
Okay, so she's still okay.
Yeah.
She's a 10, but she's 10 years older than you. So how old are you?
I'm 25.
So she's 35.
Oof. Being with older women has never really scared me in the past. I think the biggest the biggest gap for me has been 7 years older than me.
Oh, wow.
So that's not it's not like far from 10. But 10 is a lot, especially for women, and like the clocks that they have in their bodies and things like that. Like, I know that I want a family at some point.
Yeah.
But at this current very moment, at 25 years old, with what I got going on in my life, I am not at a point where I can provide that.
For sure. No, I'm the kid in my family, in my life.
So
I'm the child.
So yeah, I still have to take care of myself.
Yeah,
God damn it.
Let's be real.
Before I start taking care of someone else. My goodness. So
yeah, I mean, she's 10 years older than you, but she's a 10.
Yeah, but she's a 10.
Okay.
She's still a 10.
Okay.
It might not be my 10.
All right, Jared, now you're changing the rules.
She's still a 10.
No, it's your game, so go ahead. Okay. She's a 10, but she's taller than you.
Wow, okay.
For context, tell the audience how tall you are.
I'm 6'1"ish.
Okay.
Like,
okay, so
I haven't been measured to the doctor anytime recently, but so
she's over 6 feet.
Yeah, over 6 feet. That's a stallion. Like, that's like a
and then in heels, she's just a baddie. So.
Oh, man. I think that probably would do a little something to my ego, but I think I've only been with 1 or 2 women that have been taller than me, and they've been like marginally taller than me.
Yeah.
Like an inch or 2 at most. But after a long time, I don't know. I probably could get over it. If she's a 10. She's a 10.
Yeah, that's
she's
the
a
thing.
She,
she's a 10.
She's a 10. She's a great
but
overall. You know what? We're about to
you
have
need a step stool to kiss her.
Yeah, whoa. Step stool. Like, she's significantly taller than me. Like, if she puts on a set of like 5-inch heels.
WNBA, like.
Oh, man. Hey, we having league babies, though.
Right. There you go. See perspective.
Yeah, we having league babies.
It's all how you package
Listen,
it.
we having league babies. She's a 10. She's a 10. She's just taller than me. Yeah. She's a 10.
She's a 10.
She's a 10.
And that's fine. There you go. Yeah. Okay. She's a 10, but your parents don't approve.
Oh, man. I would normally say, I think the confidence in me and like my go-getter attitude about what I say about what my life is going to be like would have told me in the past it was a 10 no matter what my parents say, because that's what my parents did with their partnership.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I've come to grow so much closer to my parents and like appreciative of them and understanding of, you know, they were right a lot of the time, especially when it comes to reads on my friends and the people that come around me.
Clock it.
So, and like they know me better than I know me a lot of times in some ways.
It's so frustrating.
So, then if my parents don't approve, that's probably for a good reason. So
my knee-jerk reaction is to be like, well, I'm marrying them, but it's like when you really think about it, it's like
they know.
Yeah.
Like
they don't approve.
Know. Yeah.
And by the way, my parents love everyone.
Yeah, it's true.
So if I would say my mom doesn't like you, I promise you, it's you. I promise you.
My parents like give everybody a chance that I bring around. And a lot of times I'm like, I'll have those conversations and I'll be like, hey, like, trust me, like they're cool, like this and this and that. And then later down the line, that same person that I was like, trust me, they're cool, end up not being so cool.
So cool.
So,
yeah. You gotta learn that. Yeah.
Yeah. So if they're 10 and my parents don't approve, they probably not it. That's probably going to be like a 2.
Do you think you'll be able to move past it and get to marriage? Or is it like that's going to be a deal breaker almost? I guess context is important, but.
Yeah, well, because like it's not necessarily that I'm looking or searching for approval from my parents in any way, but I have an appreciation for their word and for their say and their opinion and their read up on people in relation to myself. Yeah. So I don't think I think I still have the strong conviction that like if I believe that this is my person, then this is my person no matter what. But you know, it would really have to be circumstantial. I think I would have to understand the main reasoning as to where the disapproval comes from. Yeah,
there has to be a conversation.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay. She's a 10, but she's dated one of your friends.
Well, then I'm not dating her.
So okay. So someone that your homies has dated, they're just.
That's off the table.
Yeah, off the table. Completely agree.
Like,
but
yeah, it's like completely.
People have different versions of girl code and bro code, so I'm always interested to unpack that.
No, like you're like without sounding like so morbid, but like you're pretty much dead to me.
I've said that before, and people think I'm a weirdo.
Like I'm sorry, but like we can't do this. I also like I know my friends intimately well too, so like I know the shit that y'all been through.
Oh my god!
You know, like that's not happening. Like
wow, yeah.
I think like even to like if I know, that's it. It's done.
Yeah, I completely agree. I've said to my friends, I mean, if I meet someone and I know that even you guys are talking or anything like that, that person doesn't even register as like a sexual being to me at all. Yeah. Like it's almost like he's a girlfriend now. Like he's one of the girls, genuinely.
Yeah. And I'm gonna speak to you as such, which means you're gonna expect me to talk in my vernacular, like that I speak with my homies. Like you're gonna get that kind of treatment too.
For me, that's not almost got me in trouble because I think it comes off as like I'm very comfortable with you, so maybe she likes me. It's like no. I'm very comfortable with you because you don't register as a male that I would ever, you know what I mean? I'm like, I promise you, I'm yapping with you because you're one of my girlfriends, not, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I completely agree. It's just so interesting because everyone has a completely different definition. They're like, well, what if they dated 10 years ago? I'm like, no, there's so many other people. Like, why do you know what I mean? Like, why? All right, that was the end of the game. The very first couple ones, you had visceral reactions, and that's what I wanted.
Yeah, no, that was good. That
was good, right? The last thing I actually want to ask you is, you kind of already touched on it, but we don't have a Firsties Corner, which is when I told you, like, people write in. But is there anything that you would want to share with the younger version of you, or any firstie out there, first gen?
Okay. If I was to tell the younger version of myself something, I would say try to follow your intuition more. Listen to your heart, listen to, that gut inner feeling a little bit more, and try to bring that voice out and, like, understand that that's what's real. 'Cause I feel like when it comes to anything, if I have anything about my life that I would necessarily change, it's just more so if I would have caught on to things earlier. And I think that mostly stems from me getting more in touch with myself and my intuition and my inner voice and that kind of stuff. So just try to make your inner voice louder. That's what I would tell myself or anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of first generation people, like, I feel like you're just always going to have a different experience than the normal person. Like, you're going to have a unique experience that probably only most, like, first generation or people who immigrated here or people who come from different cultures those are the people that are going to understand you the most. And I think that's evidenced by the fact that, like, most of my friends are all different ethnicities, races, colors, and that, just like, because they're like me, like, they're either from other countries or first generation or minority in some type of way. Like, there's a tribe, I think, within that. So you just have, I think, as a first gen, like, you're given an opportunity, because I think typically when you're first generation, it's typically because you're now in a land of opportunity that your parents, like, sought out.
Yeah. And sacrifice
and
for,
so
yeah.
now you're living in that. And I think for me, my mission, like, the reason why I do anything is because I've been afforded the privileges that my previous generations weren't given to live in America and, like, to be brought up where I was. Like, my parents in South Africa escaped apartheid. My grandparents in Algeria escaped religious persecution. And then my parents were the first generation. Like, they were the ones that escaped. And that's why they were the firstborn in their country. And then my parents were like, I'm going to forge my own life. And then I was born in America. So now I've been given all these privileges. Now that's why I feel like it's my duty. I need to make something happen. And, like, you don't have, like, it's a lot of responsibility that I put on myself and my shoulders. And obviously that comes with a lot of stress and things like that. But, like, I feel that fire within me to make something happen. So, like, if you're a first gen, it's probably because now you have an opportunity to do something that your previous generations didn't get the chance to do.
Yeah. We talk about that a lot on here. That was amazing, by the way. Thank you for that. That was great. The first gen, it's like a badge of honor more than, like, why me? Like, because you're juggling these two worlds. Like, when I'm with my American friends, I don't feel American enough. When I'm with my family, my Amaranya, which is our native language, is not the best. And so I just never feel like I've, like, fit in really anywhere. Like, literally, that's been my entire life. And that's what a lot of first gens feel. But then realizing, like, yeah, it's more opportunity than, like, woe is me, like, why me? It's like, well, no, girl, you had the golden ticket to come here and get education. My parents worked very hard to get us there. Yeah.
You get the time you get the opportunity to do something different, something that your family never imagined or was capable of.
I'm actually doing it right now, which is this podcast, which is amazing. Yeah. Well, not you being the therapist now. Don't get carried away, Jared. Okay. He's like, oh, okay. All right, guys, that is the end of this episode. I'm going to plug Jared down below. If you actually want to see his season, it's on Peacock, is it not? Yeah, it is. So please go bully him, DM him, send him embarrassing clips.
I haven't even watched it yet. So
you haven't watched it full through?
I haven't watched my own season.
I don't
except for the episode that I entered and the one that I left.
Okay, I don't blame you because I don't think I would want to watch it back. Oh, maybe I'm going to watch it and then report back to you. Just to annoy you. That is it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for liking, subscribing, commenting, doing all the fun things. I really do appreciate it. And I will see you in our next episode. Take care, guys.